7 days in the dark. Tonight, just over 3,000 Austin Energy customers remain without power after last week's ice storm. And as restoration crews try to deal with every problem, some Austinites are saying they feel helpless.
They told KVUE Sports Sanders they're starting to feel like they've been forgotten. He joins us now live from Terrytown to explain. Hi, Ford.
Hey, Quita, Brian. Yeah, we're in Terrytown, and this neighborhood was one that actually just minutes ago before we got here showed on the outage map that they were still without power and that crews were working. But as we pulled up, these houses are now restored. But there are still thousands across Austin without power, now 7 days for many, and they say they feel forgotten about.
Everything's just, it's devastation. Come on in this way. It looks like a tornado ripped through our neighborhood.
One full week and still thousands of Austinites left in the dark.
I'm not working right now. I'm literally, the minute I get up, I'm on the phone, I'm checking the neighborhood Facebook, I'm texting neighbors, I'm looking at the outage map.
Alyssa Onyx runs a beauty shop out of her home.
I've got all the good stuff.
She says this outage has taken a toll on her livelihood and her mental health.
We've lost money, groceries. I've had bills to pay that I haven't been able to pay. I've lost work. We're not being told anything. No communication, no information.
Austin city officials gathered for an update Tuesday evening.
And since 6 p.m. yesterday, more than 10,000 customers have been restored.
City manager Spencer Cronk, already in the hot seat, apologized for shortcomings in the response and promising changes moving forward.
Well, we'll talk about some of the policy changes that might be made in terms of how we would do vegetation management.
So we've got our candles, of course, but when night falls, I turn on these lights. We need to know that we haven't truly been forgotten. We need crews in this area as soon as possible.
Ms. Sargent, I have one more question. Austin Energy General Manager Jackie Sargent saying Tuesday they've cut back their crew size from what they initially responded with, but are still hopeful for a quick turnaround.
We're going to have smaller crews that will then address those because they're smaller outages, and that will just slow down the process and make it take more time.
But Onyx says she feels isolated.
We're kind of on our own, and that's how we feel, that we've just been put out on our own.
Now, some neighbors in this neighborhood here in Terrytown actually came out just minutes ago telling me that some of these houses here actually never lost power, but many of them did not have power. However, I've spoken with some of those people that are now on their 7th day of no power, and they feel that that communication with Austin Energy has just been disappointing for them. Quita.
Historic winter storms within 2 years. Some are asking how to better prepare for the next one. Insurance experts say this is a perfect time to re-examine your car or home insurance policy.
And KXAN's Brianna Hollis speaks with someone who still doesn't have power and is having trouble getting help.
This tree fell on our shed. It's busted.
It's cold. It's pretty. It's just miserable.
Alyssa Onyx and her Northwest Austin neighbors on Shady Oaks Drive are still in the dark.
Nerves, fears.
She says she's struggled getting help from insurance as she waits for the power to come back.
On top of everything else, it has just been very, very dire and straining.
Insurance experts say for certain compensation, like reimbursement for hotel stays, the damage to your home has to be significant.
I'm not aware of any policy that does it just because your power is out. It's generally associated with something else happening to your home that makes it unlivable.
While it's too late to adjust your home insurance policy to get you more returns from last week's storm, the Insurance Council of Texas says there are things you can do to put yourself in a better position next time.
Now that we've gone through this and we know that this can happen, make a home inventory.
They say the best way to do that is taking a 360 video of every room in your house.
When it comes to car insurance, while it's not state law to have comprehensive coverage, the Insurance Council says people who didn't were out of luck if tree limbs fell on their vehicles.
If you hit the tree, it's your collision. If the tree hits you, it's your comprehensives.
While Onyx isn't quite getting the help she hoped for through insurance, she hopes her light at least flip back on soon.
The darkness it's getting old.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
And the Texas Insurance Council also recommends looking at your deductibles for home and auto insurance to make sure that you can pay that amount in full if you encounter a worst-case scenario with future storm damage.
What a whirlwind February has been, let me tell you. I have started this video I think 5 or 6 times now. I don't really know why I'm doing it. I'm so off kilter, I'm so scatterbrained. I just can't get my shit together, which is nothing new. It happens from time to time. But yeah, February has royally sucked. And there's a trend. It just seems like every February something happens that just mayhem. So if you don't know by now or haven't seen my posts, we made it through a horrific and historic ice storm that hit Austin. It was Tuesday, January 31st, and it was a couple nights of just brutal weather, tons of ice. The ice was the problem, ice and wind. Ice accumulated and then it stopped, and then melted, refroze a couple times, so it was just days of chaos, and we lost power for almost 9 days. That happens. Yes, storms happen, ice, snow, winter happens. But and when I say we, Austin went through this 2 years ago, actually today, and didn't learn anything from it. Spencer Cronk, the city manager, was fired today, which is fabulous news. He is receiving a ludicrous severance pay, which makes me physically ill because I'll get to it in a minute. I've actually started a GoFundMe for really just my shit and my business, but we are still dealing with things from the storm in and around our house. There's still a huge tree hanging over our shed in the backyard there's photo and video that I will either stick in with this or post, or you can find them on my social media. I've posted very little. If I've posted anything, it has been storm related. I was very heated, very fired up, very depressed. It was just a hot fucking mess. I don't want to do it again. I said this 2 years ago and it happened again because Austin didn't get their shit together. So the tree hanging over the shed could fall at any time. We haven't had any luck we've had 2 crews blow us off. There's been no assistance provided. If you're in Austin and you heard the local news, everybody was told that assistance would be provided, FEMA was coming, the whole bit. That ended up not being true. It has just been bullshit after bullshit. If there was no communication at all, then there was just a severe lack of communication, no information. And call it dramatic or whatever. I tend to be a little dramatic, but I don't fuck around with the weather. The weather terrifies me. It intrigues me and it terrifies me. The winter shit 2 years ago really messed up a lot of people. PTSD is very real. Traumatic experiences happen to all of us, and there's no right or wrong way to behave or feel or act in situations like that. But I gotta tell ya, going to bed 3 nights in a row to the sounds of branches, I can't even explain the noise. Branches falling, trees falling, and transformers exploding. It was just constant, and you would hear it in every other direction. We had 2 trees fall in our yard that we cleaned up ourselves because, again, no assistance. I have cuts and bruises from it. I was hauling shit like a man, like I was back in Coleman in the country. And I'm sick of wood. I'm sick of firewood. It's just crazy. Just crazy. Crazy going through it, and then crazy dealing with the aftermath, and then crazy dealing with the city and nobody's solid responses or assistance. It's just all been a bunch of crap. So yeah, it went on for far too long. I don't know what we're gonna do about the tree in the yard, so there are expenses still ongoing. I didn't work during that entire time because majority of it I didn't have cell reception. And then just fucking not having power. Thank God we had a generator. Shout out to Predator for their line of generators, because we got one after the shitstorm literally 2 years ago, and thank God for it. I drug that sucker out of our backyard shed Tuesday, and I insulated windows with towels and blankets. I got candles out, flashlights, lanterns, and I hauled a lot of wood in, lots. So yeah, there was a lot to do to prepare, but I knew from what we went through. I had no idea that this was gonna be like 10 times that. That was still horrific and historic, but so was this one. So yeah, I need to get my business back on track. The generator that we have, it's limited to what it provides for. So we had a light in the kitchen, a light in the living room, a light in the bedroom, a light in our mudroom, and that was it. And the fridge, we did unplug it at night, so we did have to throw out some groceries, because, you know, spoilage and all that. And then we had our chargers for our phones. We tried to run the coffee maker one morning, and like the generator wasn't having it. So that was out. So yeah, very little. So we didn't come into our studios. Sky didn't go into his music studio, and I didn't come into mine. It was just sad. It was sad, and it was just exhausting, but I didn't realize until a few days later that I have hundreds of dollars worth of product, filler, Botox. Like, I've got so many products that require refrigeration, require certain storage temperatures, eyelash extension glue. You know, there are things, some people don't pay attention to it, but it does make a hell of a difference. I follow my directions to a T, so a lot of my stuff has to be stored. I have a mini fridge, or, you know, the room needs to be a certain temperature. I lost a lot, and I am having to play catch up, but my mental health has been meh. Sleep, diet, everything is just fucked. So I need to get back on track. I have so many things to post that went on during it that I was excited about, but it just got old. It got old really fast, and not knowing anything was just awful. Not being able to get a hold of some people in your neighborhood to check on them, you know, it was just, it was a lot. By that Sunday, we went to our two friends who live in Gerald. We went to their house. They graciously let us shower, and they took us out to a fabulous dinner. I did laundry. They were just so gracious and kind. I appreciate them. I appreciate those in my circle and in mine and Sky's circle that reached out to us. It really meant a lot, because it, you know, yeah, it just, moments like those, and it was just nice. So those that reached out, thank you. Love you guys. We weren't given updates or a timeline to what was happening. So we were kind of preparing ourselves to go stay with them for a week, which is a lot, you know. I mean, we had bags packed, but just uprooting your life and not knowing anything, or leaving your house to, I don't know, I mean, become condemned. A lot of the neighbors did leave. They went and got hotels or went to stay with family. It was hard just because I didn't want to just leave the house, and like no security, like no cops were in the area. Like, we literally were just, it's like we went invisible. I don't know. There was no security. There weren't any lights. There weren't, you know, we've got security lights that you know, there's no power, so they couldn't, it was just, that night was scary. very scary. Yeah, it was just dark and it was quiet, and that was the night I just started writing all my thoughts down. So I held on to all that. I held on to everything that I had during that time. So lists of streets in our neighborhood that didn't have power. Now these are just streets, not households. There are many residents that live on these streets. Our neighborhood is deep. I kind of just took over the Facebook group, and I was like, enough is enough. I want street names, and I want information. I want photos. I had been out and about in the neighborhood, in the front of the house. It's just the devastation. The devastation is sad. I mean, I'll have the photo and video, but I woke up and just started making a list of those street names, and by 10 o'clock I was on the news. I try to be cool and calm and collected, but I just get to a point where I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on, and what can I do? What do I have the power to do? So yeah. I ended up on KVU Wednesday night, and then KUT and KXN Thursday night. And I am so grateful to them. I'm so grateful for our news outlets, because, you know, they were going to the press conferences that the city was having. I don't even want to get into all that, because it will be literally an hour-long video. I had a lot to say at that time, but now it's just, at some point you get exhausted from it all. So but even whenever I did the news segments, I was poised. I wanted to make a point, and I wanted to be taken seriously. I didn't want to get on there and point fingers or say names. Unfortunately, I looked a little disheveled. It was not my proudest moment. Having done film and radio and television before, I know how things go. And if I don't, I can quickly catch on. So getting in touch with the right people, making myself available, knowing exactly what I'm going to say and how I'm going to say it, letting reporters into our home, like, they were up to speed with anything and everything, and they were just as mad as we were, and they fought alongside of us. So say what you will about news and media, but we've got some great individuals here that are a part of our news outlets, and I appreciate them so much. Having the opportunity to do that was super empowering, just because there wasn't anything else that I could do or offer our household and our neighborhood. That was what I could do, and so I'm glad that I did get the opportunity to do it. And the only thing I could say is that I looked like hell because I felt like hell. Wow, what a mess. I was a total mess, but there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do in those situations, and I was tired. So, but it is what it is. So there's a lot of things that I need to catch up on and do, and product I have to replace. So, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get back to normal with work. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Things you get accustomed to, and that you're spoiled with, and that you have the luxury of having, and then you go a good chunk of time without it, and then you get it back, and you're like, I don't know, you don't know how to feel. It's just a fucking wow. It's crazy. So just a lot of adjusting and finally sleeping, and not just, those sounds. There's just, and I'm sensitive to sound anyways, so it was horrible. And just being cold, I don't like being cold. I need sunlight. I need the sun. I don't like to sleep with layers of clothes on. I did take cold baths. Let it be known that I had no shame in taking a cold bath, because I'm the kind of person who shaves every night. I did a video about dry brushing, which I explained more about shaving, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out, because I could go on and on about that. But no, I have to be clean. I have to feel good, because I'm already dealing with enough in my head mentally. That's enough. I don't need to worry about anything else. I want to look and feel the best I can. But taking a hot shower is just, yeah. There's just, yeah, it does a lot. It changes a lot, and it fucks you up a lot. And in the midst of the craziness, my Bible arrived. I've already read it twice, and I do have to share that it is signed first edition. So Pammy, not only was this book everything I thought it was going to be and more, it literally saved me from losing my damn mind during the craziness that was the past 2 weeks. So thank you for that. It's really hard whenever you get something so lovely and beautiful that you've wanted for so long. It really sucks whenever you get it and you can't do shit with it, because there's no fucking light. Like I need my lighting. So studios are back together. The day after the power came on, I cleaned the ever loving shit out of this house, like corners and baseboards. Like I was doing it. So yeah, just everything being clean and warm and comfortable. Very grateful. And yeah, I have to fucking suck it up. I have to cave and do the GoFundMe thing. No obligation, especially if you know me. Like, it's not an obligation, and it's not an emergency yet, but it's going to become one. But no, just any little bit helps. I just need to get my shit back on track, mentally, physically, financially, and career-wise, business-wise. I need to do that. Feel free to comment, like, share, subscribe for more content that's going to be coming. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to get on and vent a little bit. And yeah, I'm still here. Everything's cool. It's just taking me a minute, but I'm gonna get there. The next video will definitely be more inspiring and more positive. I hope everybody had a wonderful Valentine's Day. Sky and I did. Yeah, we do fun little quirky things that are cute. Yeah, it's great to have power again. So until the next video, don't forget to go out and make your beauty mark, and I will see you then. Fence busted. This tree fell on our shed. It's busted.
From KUT News in Austin, I'm Trey Shar. Here are your afternoon headlines for Wednesday, February 8th. Austin Energy's outage map has been showing the numbers of customers still without power wavering somewhat today, between just under 2 and just above 3,000. Austin Energy says that's roughly half of 1% of its customers. Outages began more than a week ago. The utility has warned that many of the last repairs would be more difficult. Earlier today, Alyssa Onyx told KUT this was the 8th day she and some neighbors were without electricity. She says it's gotten even harder since the rain and cold weather returned overnight.
It's a generally safe, really comforting area, but at nighttime when there's no sun, it's so desolate, and it's just, the fear starts to set in because, we're just here kind of fending for ourselves.
As of this afternoon, she said Austin Energy had no estimated time for electricity to be restored in her neighborhood.